Y'all, the mystery surrounding the deaths of Whitney Houston and her daughter Bobbi Kristina Brown is deeper than we ever imagined. And Bobby Brown, he's not letting it go. He's spoken out multiple times, making it very clear that something just doesn't add up. In fact, he and many others believe that Nick Gordon, Bobbi Kristina's ex, was involved not just in her passing, but possibly in Whitney's too. And honestly, the eerie similarities between their deaths are hard to ignore. Bobby has never been shy about saying he thinks there's more to the story. In one interview, he outright stated, "Bobbi Kristina did not die from a bathtub incident. That's not what happened. My daughter was starved to death." Let that sink in. He believes she was slowly deteriorated, not just from drugs, not just from drowning, but from something much darker. And let's not forget, Bobbi Brown's sister, Leola Brown, has been saying for years that Bobbi Kristina knew the truth about what happened to her mom, and that's why she was silenced. It's a chilling thought, but word on the street is that Bobbi Kristina had been present for a lot of Whitney's private fights, including some major blow-ups with Clive Davis in the days leading up to Whitney's death. And guess what? Just 2 days before Whitney died, she and Clive allegedly had a huge fight, and Bobbi Kristina was right there to witness it.
Ray J was the last person to see her alive. He let the dealer in, but she was sober, right? But he let the dealer in that gave her the shot. Leola Brown, Bobbi Brown's sister, has said on several occasions that she was beat. They saw her body. She didn't just die in a tub, like she was beat up.
The thing is, Ray J was the last person to have a public relationship with Whitney, but they were really not steady, and they never admitted that they were an item. Now, on the day Whitney died, Ray J said he was not at the party, but there have been several accounts claiming that he lied about not being around. In fact, one of the accounts from people who were there was that Brandy was asking for her brother at the party. So why would she be asking for him if he was not there in the first place? People also started giving Ray J the side eye when Raffles and Ray J were hurrying out of the back with Brandy Burnside that same evening. Yet Raffles clearly never liked Ray, so why was he sort of helping him sneak out of the place? Then to make matters more interesting, Leola Brown, the sister of Whitney's ex-husband Bobby Brown, said shortly after Whitney's death that Ray J had been helping Whitney get access to whatever she was using, and he was probably the one who gave her a bad bag.
And then, suddenly, Whitney was dead. Fast forward 3 years later, Bobbi Kristina is also found unconscious in a bathtub, and she never wakes up again. If this doesn't give you chills, I don't know what will. Now let's rewind for a second. Bobbi Kristina grew up in the spotlight, often appearing alongside Whitney, even as a baby. From a young age, she was in front of the cameras, on stage at the American Music Awards, and later, even appeared in a Tyler Perry show. But when Whitney passed in 2012, everything changed. Bobbi Kristina took it hard, and honestly, who wouldn't? She was hospitalized from the shock alone, but despite that, she tried to put on a brave face, attending her mom's funeral, giving interviews, and trying to step into her mom's legacy. But she never really had a chance.
I saw Ray J coming out of the hotel, hiding his head, being pushed into the car. Why? I looked and I said, why is he hiding? Why is he hiding his face? He's always trying to show his face when he's around Whitney. Why now? Why are you trying to hide now, Ray J? And I put it all together. When I first heard she passed away, I said, my God, somebody gave her a bad bag. Yes, I promise you, that was the first thing that came out of my mouth. And then I saw Ray J, and it all added up.
It also doesn't help that before Whitney died, she slipped Ray J's sister Brandy a note when she crashed an E! interview with Brandy, Monica, and Clyde. Well, to this day, Brandy still refuses to reveal the contents of that note. In fact, in another E! interview, she said, "I'm gonna just not say what it was and keep it to myself for my own personal reasons." But a lot of people believe that Whitney might have given the note to Brandy in front of the cameras on purpose.
On January 31st, 2015, Bobbi Kristina was found unresponsive in the bathtub of her Georgia home, the same home she shared with Nick Gordon. Sound familiar? Because that's exactly how Whitney was found too. After 6 months in a coma, she passed away on July 26, 2015. The autopsy ruled her death a combination of drowning and intoxication, and her toxicology report revealed a mix of alcohol, marijuana, morphine, and anti-anxiety meds. But here's the thing. The medical examiner couldn't determine whether her death was accidental or intentional. The report basically said that her system was full of drugs, which caused her to drown, but it couldn't confirm if she had taken them willingly or if someone else had a hand in it. And that's where things get really sketchy. Bobbi Kristina's death was way too similar to Whitney's. We're talking same circumstances, same way they were found, same suspicious details. Whitney died in a bathtub in a Beverly Hills hotel. Her coroner's report also said she drowned. But guess what? There wasn't enough water in her lungs to confirm that drowning was the cause of death. That means someone may have placed her in the water after she was already gone. Now, let's talk about who was around both Whitney and Bobbi Kristina when they died. The answer? Nick Gordon. Nick was one of the last people to see Bobbi Kristina alive, and Bobbi Brown firmly believes that he had everything to do with both deaths. Even before Bobbi Kristina passed, her family never trusted Nick, and for good reason. Reports say that Nick was abusive, controlling, and kept Bobbi Kristina isolated from everyone who loved her. Just months before she was found unconscious, she had reportedly told friends that she was planning to leave him and move to LA to start fresh. But Nick wasn't having that. The day she was found, sources say that she and Nick had a heated argument. She was under the influence, and Nick physically attacked her before leaving her alone in the room. If you're thinking this sounds way too suspicious, you're not alone. Shortly after Bobbi Kristina was moved to hospice care, her court-appointed conservator filed a lawsuit against Nick Gordon, claiming he was responsible for her wrongful death. The lawsuit alleged that Nick gave Bobbi Kristina a toxic cocktail that left her unconscious before placing her in the tub face down. But before he could ever be held accountable, Nick Gordon passed away from an overdose in 2020. And y'all, we can't ignore another name that keeps coming up in all this: Ray J. Yep, Ray J, the same one who was last seen with Whitney Houston before she died. There have been rumors for years that Ray J was supplying Whitney with substances and that he knows way more than he's saying. In fact, Bobbi Brown's sister Leola has publicly accused Ray J of being involved. She said she saw Ray J sneaking out of the Beverly Hilton the night Whitney died, covering his face, looking guilty as hell. And let's not forget, Whitney literally passed Brandy a secret note on live TV just before she died, and Brandy has refused to say what was in it. If that wasn't shady enough, let's talk about Clive Davis. People have always suspected that Whitney's death was too convenient for certain people in the industry, and Clive Davis has been at the center of those theories. Why? Because Whitney died in a hotel room just hours before Clive's annual pre-Grammy party. And what did Clive do? He still threw the party, with Whitney's body still in the building. If that doesn't scream suspicious, I don't know what does. And if Bobbi Kristina knew what really happened to her mother, it would make sense why she became a target too. Maybe she was planning to speak out. Maybe she had receipts. Maybe someone couldn't take that risk. Whatever the case, both she and Whitney are gone, and we still don't have real answers. So now I have to ask y'all, do you believe that Bobbi Kristina's death was planned, just like Whitney's? Do you think Nick Gordon was responsible, or was he just a pawn in a much bigger game? And what about Ray J and Clive Davis? Could they have had a hand in this too? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this one is deep. And while you're at it, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay tuned, because this mystery is far from over.